Hi everyone, welcome to Synergy Flavors Trendcast episode 8. I'm Alex Masumoto, I'm a marketing associate at Synergy Flavors in the US. And in this episode, we're going to talk about hot trends in coffee. And to help me explore this great topic, I'm joined today by Supatra, who is our senior marketing executive out of Thailand, and also by Natalie Drake, who is our category manager for bakery and dairy in the UK. Natalie, I know you have done a lot of research around this topic, and although it seems obvious, I have to ask this question. So, is there a reason why we love coffee?
So, Alex, our love of coffee at the level we see today really started in the late 1990s. So, millennials were really the driving force behind this coffee movement. They saw people drinking coffee in soft-edged cafes as a way to emulate the cosmopolitan lifestyles that they'd seen in their favourite New York sitcoms, such as Friends. Around about that kind of time, people were starting to bring laptops out with them and working away from home. So that really escalated the movement, and people started to use coffee shops as their desks. So that really helped with the fact that people were spending a lot more time in coffee shops. So obviously we might not all be able to get out to coffee shops at the moment due to the global pandemic, but the coffee movement started from here and has kept growing and evolving since then. So of course, coffee was around much earlier than the 90s, and we can take a look at how the coffee revolution has evolved in the past few decades. So it really started in the 1960s. Nescafe really were a driving force, and this is when we saw the first wave coffee movement, and coffee became available to the masses, much more affordable, and a lot more people started drinking coffee. In the 1970s, we then saw the second wave. So this is where Starbucks entered the market, and they made out-of-home coffee more of a sought-after luxury item, and people started to talk about coffee a lot more. We then move to the third wave, which is where we are now in the present day, and coffee is really considered an artisan product, much like a fine wine. We have coffee connoisseurs that talk about coffee and how to correctly brew, lots of different techniques, and even the average consumers are now becoming coffee connoisseurs and coffee experts. Then looking ahead to the future, we would say that at the moment we're moving away slightly from the third wave and into the fourth wave coffee movement. And this is where coffee takes more a science-led approach, and we start to see new technologies coming into the coffee market. So just as an example, in the future, we might all start to get our coffee delivered by drone. So today's consumers have been forced to spend a lot more time at home due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and so they might not be able to get out to their favourite coffee shops for their caffeine fix. The coffee movement is taking a different direction, however, so we're seeing a rise in the at-home barista, and this is really being driven by millennials who now, because they're so used to having coffees in their favourite coffee shops, they're used to that kind of premium experience. And because of that, they're now trying to emulate that premium experience at home. This is definitely a trend that we saw emerging before the pandemic, but because people are spending a lot more time at home now, it's really been accelerated. We can now see that the coffee industry is beginning to resemble the craft beer movement as much smaller brands enter the market, and consumers are paying more attention to their local independent coffee shops rather than the big chains that we see in the market today. So this need for the at-home barista experience is really driving demand in the market, and also in turn innovation for different products and offerings for consumers who want to create that experience at home. So we're seeing innovation around pod machines, different dairy and plant-based milks optimized for frothing, and flavored syrups that you get in your coffee shops as well. We're also even seeing instant coffee brands responding to this trend by offering to recreate the coffee experience at home, but with the ease of an instant coffee. So, of course, one of the places in Europe where you're guaranteed to find coffee lovers is Italy. and the Synergy team in Italy are right at the heart of Italian coffee culture. We are lucky enough to have our Italian site in Trieste, which is the north of Italy and is known as the City of Coffee in Italy, or the Città del Caffè. Many of Italy's coffee producers are based here, including ILI, and ILI also have an exclusive University of Coffee where you can study for a master graduate program and learn more about coffee. Trieste have many types of coffee and different ways of ordering, and most of these would mean something totally different if you moved 30 kilometers outside of the city. So it's really coffee is really celebrated within Trieste city, and it's really well known across Italy, alongside Naples as the city of coffee. While we know that Italians like to stick with tradition for their morning brew, there's no shortage of innovation in the coffee space at the moment. Alex, could you tell us about some of the trends that you're seeing in North America within the coffee movement at the moment?
Natalie, we have identified four big trends around the coffee space here in North America, and they are cold coffee is hot, expect more plant-based options, consider functionality, and hard coffee innovation. But let's start with cold coffee is hot. So this trend has a lot to do with Gen Z's new behavior around coffee consumption. So overall coffee consumption has increased with Gen Z's drinking different types of coffee, but mainly cold and iced coffee. And among them, RTD cold brew coffee is driving that growth. We all know that cold brew coffee started a couple of years ago, where millennials were the first generation to adopt the cold brew coffee, but Gen Z is taking that trend to another level. Technomic has reported a 36% growth in cold brew mentions on menu in the last 12 months. And as market grows, Gen Z's coffee consumers also tend to be the most interested in new flavor options, indicating opportunities for more flavor RTD cold brew coffees in the market. The second trend we're calling expect more plant-based options. So the number of consumers who are incorporating plant-based proteins into their diets continues to rise. And the main contributors to that strong interest are concerns mainly about personal, but also the planet's health. So as a result, plant-based options are now widely available across all food and drink categories. But it's interesting that besides that we have a huge growth of products in the market in the past few years, innovation is felt to be lacking among plant-based consumers. So 49% of US consumers agree that plant-based products need a greater variety of flavors, presenting an opportunity for brands to innovate around new and exciting flavors. What's interesting, is also as innovation is felt to be lacking, there is also opportunities for brands to innovate around new plant-based sources such as almond, coconut, and other nut milks to breathe, new life into the coffee space, but mainly into RTD coffee and creamers. The third trend that we're seeing here in North America is the one we're calling consider functionality. So consumers are increasingly more concerned about what they eat and drink, focusing more on labels, ingredient lists, and production methods than ever before. This trend has encouraged, many different brands across food and drink to innovate around better for you varieties. And with coffee is no different. So coffee brands are innovating mainly focused around reducing additives, sugar, and fat, but also along with adding ingredients that provide functional health benefits. So coffee brands are looking into the famous super ingredients such as MCT fats, taurine, and spices that are somehow associated with delivering both psychological and physiological benefits to the consumer. Functionality could also drive growth in creamers and RTD formats. According to Mintel, US non-dairy consumers show interest in milks that provide healthful benefits, such as high in protein, one of the the most popular claims around functionality, but also high in vitamins and minerals that could also add value to creamers and RTD coffee formats. The fourth trend that we're seeing here in North America is hard coffee innovation. So beverage blurry is not a new trend, but it continues to define the beverage industry as brands look to stay, ahead of shifting consumer preferences. So targeting a younger demographic of 21 plus consumers, coffee and alcoholic beverage brands are, kind of steering the pod with new products, blurring category lines, and introducing the hard coffees to the market. So, offering a low ABV and a bit of caffeine, hard coffee began to grow mainly last year, following the huge trend of brands bringing no alcoholic beverage such as seltzer, lemonade, teas into the alcoholic beverage category. As consumers look for more approachable ways to find their caffeine, but also as consumers look for healthier alcoholic beverage options, such as the hard seltzer, hard lemonades, hard teas, that are hit in the market right now. We understand that many brands will continue to innovate around coffee and alcohol mixed together.
Supatra, what are some of the trends that you're seeing in the coffee market in Asia?
As you may know that Asia Pacific is the fastest growing regional for coffee market. So there are many opportunities in the area. For today, I'm going to walk you through the opportunities for coffee in Asia Pacific from Intel report. The first key opportunity is the new sophisticated flavors could increase consumption of instant coffee. From the Mintel survey, found that 55% of Chinese consumers cite good taste as a prime reason for ordering their coffee. To keep up with the premium preferences of today's busy consumers, instant coffee brands need to develop more modern concepts that match the expectations of this generation. One way of achieving this is to innovate around taste and flavor, particularly as consumers are driven by these factors when drinking coffee in general. And these are some of new coffee product launches in Asia that have actively been innovating around interesting flavors to engage young coffee drinkers. First one is Black Forest Cake flavor coffee. It's said to be smooth, sweet, aromatic, and mellow. Next is Coconut Pineapple flavor coffee. It's made with mellow coffee with a refreshing fruit aroma. Another interesting flavor is a combination between coffee and cocktail drink flavor, which is a black coffee with tequila, but without any alcohol. Aside from those, instant coffee brands also explore intention-grabbing flavor such as Tom Yum, a twist of savory flavor and coffee, and Taro Cafe Latte made with sweet taro. And the last one is a seasonal limited edition of sea salt flavored coffee from China. The next opportunity is cafe-style drinks inspired by social media fads. Retail coffee brands can entertain consumers at home with trendy cafe-style drinks inspired by social media fads. The Dalgona coffee craze is one such example that has recently gone viral since the COVID-19 pandemic. It became all the rage on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook during coronavirus lockdown, offering a new twist on instant coffee. ITC demonstrates how to bring new formats into retail through its Sunbeam Beaten Cafe Paste. Similar to the Dalgona style coffee, the beaten coffee paste is said to provide a creamy, frothy, and foamy texture that can dissolve effortlessly in warm milk. This demonstrates how brands can experiment with formats and textures which enable consumers to enjoy uncomplicated cafe-style drink at home. The last opportunity is health drives innovation in RTD coffee. Consumers show interest in healthy RTD coffee. As you can see from Mintel survey, found that 37% of Thai consumers would be interested in trying RTD coffee with added nutritional benefits. Consumers are increasingly inspecting product labels and ingredients lists as a result of being more concerned about what they eat and drink. For Asian coffee drinkers, health concerns and food safety can have contribute to this behavior. Brands should focus on natural, low sugar recipes to keep them engaged in the RTD coffee category. Functional recipes are also likely to resonate among those showing interest in RTD coffee with added nutritional benefits. Low and no sugar innovation is a priority for RTD coffee brands. Over the last year, average sugar content in RTD coffee edged up to 5.1 gram from 5.8 gram per 100 milliliter in the previous year, showing a little difference. Let's take a look at some coffee product launches with no and low sugar content. Some brands say 34% of sugar content has been reduced. According to Mintel, power to the plant is another trend that consumers are looking for. They're seeking more fruits, vegetables, grains, seeds, and other plant-based ingredients. This is a product from Korea. It's an almond matcha latte. It is said to provide 100 plant-based complete protein and essential amino acids. Another coffee innovation from Thailand is CAFFE black coffee with chicken essence. In Asia, chicken essence is claimed to strengthen bones and muscles, enhance metabolism, and improve overall health. The beverage demonstrates how brands can use traditional ingredients to maximize the functional benefits of products.
Thanks, Patrick. These are really insightful information. I can tell for myself that I'm always impressed to see these presentations, that we have the chance to, learn a little bit more about, different regions. And this is very insightful and inspiring to me. So I hope this is to our audience as well. Natalie, appreciate you joining too, and, kind of bringing some historical information about the coffee market, and bringing your perspective about the European market as well. If you'd like to know more about coffee trends and some of the topics that we covered on this episode, please get in touch with us through our website, synergytaste.com, or you can find us across our social media platforms at Synergy Flavors as well. And again, appreciate Natalie and Supatra for joining this episode today with me, and appreciate you for listening to Synergy Flavors Trendcast. See you next time.